Welcome back to our final session of Asian management. I hope you guys are going to be very active on this well beyond our class and stay in touch. Everybody should also be able to post your information here. Stay in touch with the comments from other people, how to expand on that. As we've identified, East Asian management, Guangxi is a huge part of it. Some of the people that you're studying with are probably going to be far more valuable than any class you've taken at university throughout your career, especially if you're working in East Asia. So good luck with that stuff. Today, we have gone through and talked about many aspects of East Asian management, and we look forward to the final presentations of the students being able to do this. Hopefully you guys have seen in here the evaluation form, and you can go through, download the evaluation form, fill out an evaluation for your classmates as thoroughly as possible. Where is it? Somewhere down in here. Here's one of them, and there's the Excel link here. So any questions about that before we start? Going once, twice. Okay, so you guys are able to go ahead and start. Please take it from here.
Jongho, so you can start sharing the screen.
Yes, my groupmates will share his screen. Frame.
Yes, I will share it now. Can you see the screen?
Yes. Yes, we can see it.
Good morning, everyone. Today we want to present our final presentation in East Asian management class. Our topic is use of AI in hotel management in South Korea. Our group members are Jong Ho-moon and I, Ulubek Manonov. This is our table of contents. First, we will start with our abstract and then introduction, literature review, survey methodology, findings, and finally conclusion. So why we need to know the use of AI in hotel management in South Korea? With growing dependency on smartphones, people today are more likely to plan their trips using smart online apps. Customers spend many hours on their phones to find the best place, best price, and the best itinerary. This is where artificial intelligence comes into play. This research is focused on use of AI in hotel management in South Korea. 10 Scopus articles were provided to analyze this research and survey. Survey findings indicate that customers looking to hedonic service values has high reluctance of using AI and highlights importance of keeping human touch in hotel service. This research will help reader to understand and contribute to hotel management in South Korea for their future paths. The keywords are artificial intelligence, tourism industry, and hotel management in South Korea. This is our introduction. According to McCormick's prediction, business with AI technology will be able to steal almost $1.2 trillion in a single year from rival business with no technology by 2020. Therefore, it's important to understand the change and influence of AI in the tourism industry before the tourism industry is recovered, and try to remind the importance of human touch in order to deliver trustful value to the customers within rapidly changing technology. We hope this research can give readers good insight for AI in the hotel management and tourism industry and find it useful for their business when COVID-19 is over. Is this clear for you guys?
Yes, clear for me. Thank you.
Thank you. As I said earlier, today we focus more on our literature review. Our literature review consists 10 Scopus articles, which is more reliable, which is the most reliable source in the world, which can provide their reference, whatever they say, as Professor mentioned, and survey. Our first article is application of an artificial neural network optimization model in e-commerce platform based on tourism management, which is published in Eurozip Journal on Wireless Communication and Networking in 2021. This is a Scopus article, and this article is about e-commerce and information technology in enhancing the competitiveness of the tourism industry and adapting to global economic integration. And our second article is Innovativeness of Tourism Enterprise, Example of Poland, which is published in Sustainability magazine in 2021. This article is also Scopus article, which is one of the most reliable articles in the world. And this article is about innovativeness of the tourism sector in cross-industry terms and identify categories of innovations implemented by tourism enterprise with division by industry brands. Our third article is Uncovering Innovativeness in Spanish Tourism Firms, the Role of Transformational Leadership, OCB, Firm Size and Age, which is also published in Sustainability magazine in 2020. This article is about transformational leadership, organizational citizenship behavior, and firm innovativeness, firm size, firm age, and tourism firms. Our next article is also Scopus article. This article is Innovation and Development of Rural Leisure Tourism Industry using Mobile Cloud IoT Computing, which is published in Wireless Communications and Mobile Computing magazine in 2021, almost new. This article is about the booming of IoT applications in rural leisure tourism, and integrated tourism guidance will provide tourists with better information and thus make rapid improvement of geographical concentration index. Our next article is a model for the development of innovative tourism products from service to transformation, which is published in 2021 in Sustainability magazine. And also this article is about the study to develop a conceptual model of innovative tourism product development. This is also Scopus articles. From now on, our group member will continue.
Okay, so next articles talks about especially about cultural dimensions. We try to look for the uncertainty avoidance, the concepts, and the how this uncertainty avoidance lead to people's behavior in certain cultures. So we have found out that South Korea with high uncertainty avoidance might reluctant to something new. So if we apply to our topics, the South Korean might they might avoid using new technology in the new industries. Can you go to the next slide? From the realizing the potential of the Internet of Things for smart tourism with 5G and AI, We have found out that the environment of internet is very important for developing AI. If the countries or certain area has a better internet connections, they have more possibility they can get more big data, so they can develop AI in a short period. So from the next articles, tourist attitude toward the use of artificial intelligence device in tourism service delivery, moderating role of service value seeking. This article was one of the important articles for our topic because we have learned that based on service value, whether it's hedonic or utilitarians, people might have different reactions to the AI. When it is hedonic service value, people don't want to use AI. However, when it is a utilitarian service value, people prefer to use AI. So that was very interesting and very useful article for our choosing our topics. It goes to the next slide. So AI chatbot for tourism recommendation, a case study in the city of Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. We have seen how the authors projects the opportunity of AI tourism in Saudi Arabia. Since Saudi Arabia, they are also investing on tourism, especially because they were focusing on oil economy before, but since they have a good internet connections and they are investing a lot of money for tourism, the author assessed that Saudi Arabia is possible for tourism. So from this article, we also expected that Korea can be a good place to invest on AI tourisms because Korea also have a good internet connections, and Korea is spending a lot of money for developing tourism. So next article says customer experience management payoff evidence from local versus global hotel brand in South Korea. This was also interesting articles. The author compared with local and global hotels brand in South Korea and the reactions of the customers. And we have found out that in Korea, hotel service is mainly influenced by human service quality and physical service quality. So from this article, we started to kind of expect that use of AI might not fit to the Korean customers because Koreans are not really open to something new, and also they, according to articles, this article, they say Koreans they are mainly influenced by human service quality, not from the new technology service. Can you go to the next slide, please? So after we did after literature review, we started to do a survey. So Target was a potential customer for hotel in South Korea. Previously, we planned to survey through the LinkedIn, Facebook, KakaoTalk, etc. But we changed the plan. I will talk about it in a minute. Purpose was to better understand user acceptance on artificial intelligence and gain insight into how hotel industry should adopt AI in their service in order to provide better customer service in the hotel industry in South Korea. So we did an online survey before, but we have learned that people are not really welcome for answering questionnaires from the students. So our team decided to go to do face-to-face interviews. So from November 11th to November 21, we went to downtown at the random time. We we got the answers. We gave the surveys to the random people, but since we're targeting potential customer for hotel in South Korea, we only surveyed the people age of over 20s. So we got the answers from the 40 peoples. It was a random samplings, any potential customer for hotel in South Korea. But we believe that there is still limitations for this survey because the survey was conducted in Daegu, but the answers from the Daegu could not actually reflect the topic, reflect about our topic exactly. And since we did in our survey in the downtown, we believe that there were very limited people who can access to the downtown or who were in the downtown. So people who were not in the downtown at the time we did a survey was excluded from this survey. So there is also error from this survey. So answers about the survey answer, there are scale from 1 to 5. 1 is a very negative and this 5 is positive. Can you go to the next slide, please? So about the survey result, have you experienced AI robot service during your survey in hotel? 60% said no. And do you think AI robot service will be generalized in the upcoming years? Actually, most of the people said yes, but it was interesting to see that none of the respondents said no about these questions. So which means most people are aware of using AI in the futures. And would you feel AI robot service comfortable? And most people said maybe, but the other people said no or probably yes. And it was interesting to see none of the respondents said yes very much. So we could kind of we could understand that people are not really feel comfortable about using AI robot service. And would you pay extra money for AI robot service? We could see that most of the people said no about paying extra money for AI service. Can you go to the next slide, please? And have you experienced AI chatbot during trip plannings? There were some yes and no answers. And do you think AI chatbot service can save your time and money? Most people said no about these questions. Some people said yes, but seems like most people doesn't know about AI chatbot services, because when we are asking, when we are giving the survey questions, some people even ask what is an AI chatbot, even though it was in Korean. So, and do you think AI chatbot can provide the best customer experience? And the majority of the people said no, which means people can't, they expect something more than AI chatbot. They believe that AI chatbot cannot provide best customer service. Would you pay extra money for AI chatbot service? Most people said no. It was very clear because most of the people said scale 1, which is very negative. Can you go to the next slide, please? And the last question was, do you think AI chatbot will replace human in the hotel and tourism industry? Some people said, most people said maybe. It was hard to say. It was hard to interpret these reactions, but seems like not many people are aware and they're not sure about these questions. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, before we go to the findings, does anybody have questions about the surveys or anything we have talked about before?
Yeah, maybe I have a question. With the literature, you said that Koreans are not, wait, I wrote it down. South Korea might avoid new technologies and new industries. I didn't really understand why.
So you mean in literature review?
Yeah, you noticed that while talking about AI and the tourism industry, and I didn't really understand how South Korea is different from other countries or why they would avoid it.
I heard a similar thing, but I didn't hear those exact same words. What I heard was that Koreans are not interested in trying new things, something like that. And I immediately thought you were referring to the idea of Hofstede's research showing the Korean market usually has high uncertainty avoidance. Yes, that means they may avoid new things. According to Hofstede, is that what you identified also, Pia? Is that what you were talking about? A general statement saying Koreans are avoiding new things or new technology?
Yeah, there were actually two things. They first said that South Korea would avoid new technology, and then they talked about this, that Koreans might not like new things. So that was also the question, if that's connected or if that's something
Yes.
else.
That's maybe I talked in a bad way, but what I was trying to say was, according to the, like Professor Chanwa said, according to the Hofstede theories, Koreas have a high rates of uncertainty avoidance, which means they also have they're trying to avoid something new in the markets because they're afraid of trying new things.
Okay, I heard what you're talking about, and I love the fact that Jung-ho, you found that article, and I love the fact that Pia identified, whoa, something's like red flag, something strange happening here. Please, I see you are noting a lot of things are Scopus, but I love you guys. Rather than say this is a famous Scopus, which most people don't know, speak in regular words people know, and that means Scopus is supposed to be some of the world's most reliable, most respected information. Good, but what is your comment? Joe Moon, Pia, like all of you guys, I think you guys can make Einstein look bad. What are your comments? Comment on it.
Well, I get the general idea, but I was actually surprised by the statement because in the West, South Korea is known to be innovative and the first to try out new things. So the statement that they're maybe afraid of new technology, caught my attention because of that.
Great. So there's one response that you can take the world's greatest minds or research articles, Scopus articles, and say, bullshit, or at least question it with respect. Jung-ho, look back, you guys are so polite, that's nice. But rather than just say these articles, say this and then move on, which many silly people may misunderstand and think that you are promoting that also. Identify these statements and then provide a comment about it. What do you think of it? So don't just list literature, list it and tie it into a story. List it, and maybe there's a problem with affiliation bias. You find things and you want things to support what you are saying, and then you want to defend against things that aren't supporting you. But you know, we can't easily avoid affiliation bias, but comment on these articles. So when you saw some article, even though it's respected, even though it's Einstein, whatever, saying something that you think might be strange, state it in that article's specific words. You can put quotes around it, but then you should say, times have changed and new developments. This study is finding new developments. And then say how he's full of shit. And that would help your career. So yes, thank you very much for finding all of these articles. And thank you for pointing out, there's questions here. I'll try to be quiet, but you guys can do many, many things. Don't just accept what I say or accept what literature says. If you think something's questionable, please question it in a professional way. Please continue. Thank you.
Yeah, so we will continue our presentation. So what we have found from the survey is, even though customers believe that AI technology will be generalized in the hotel management, majority of customers have not experienced or unaware of it. People who have experienced with AI technologies in hotel did not have strong emotional attachment and were not willing to pay for the services. And customers' experience or belief indicates that AI technology cannot provide satisfactional customer service, and Korean customers with high uncertainty avoidance prefer human service. So from this, we have found out that these findings actually matches with our literature reviews, which was customers does not prefer to have hedonic service value from AI, and human touch is a main, the literature, according to the literature review, they said human touch is a main influence for human customer satisfactions. So our findings and the literature review was actually perfectly matching. Did you understand about what I said? Do you have any questions?
I understand exactly what you're saying. And being a professor, I have millions of questions all the time. If anybody else does, great. My question is, even though these are findings that you found from surveying people and you found from the literature review, I would love to hear if you think this is wrong, or if you think that there are certain comments to be made about this. I think some of this could be argued, but I will wait until somebody else in the class comments.
Is there anybody who can comment or argue about these findings before Professor Sean Watts comes in and fight with me?
And choose up everything. You and O, are you here? Any comments from you? Who else is here today? Going to, okay. Myself, this whole idea of AI and chatbots, you have indicated that some people don't know what that is, and you have not indicated research studies identifying AI chatbot performance and acceptance. So I would think that based off of standard acceptance of new technology, things start at a very low level and they slowly get better and better and better. Now 2021, 2022, things are improving so incredibly fast you guys, almost everybody is surprised at the developments. And why I'm talking about this is the whole idea of, you're saying Koreans are generally preferring human service, and many of them don't know about AI. So there is research showing that AI is so good, people can't, like the chatbots are so good, people listening and interacting with the chatbots don't know they are interacting with a chatbot. Some people start complaining about chatbots to chatbots. So that's one thing to point out. And if we are at that high level, that whole idea of George Orwell, 1984, the idea of societies being taken over by the future, it could be happening now. So do you guys have any comments about that? Have you guys experienced any research? Have you seen any research showing how good chatbots are yet? That's the first question.
I think among the my groupmates part, they have a accept the reactions to the chatbots. I don't remember exactly which articles. Can you talk about it, Ulungbek? Do you remember that?
We don't need to have exact articles. I love your research. You have more to discuss. We can focus on that. I'm just trying to encourage you guys to always keep learning, always keep checking what information is out there. And while you're getting the information, make sure you question, is it reliable or not? And try to have questions, even if it's supposed to be from the best in the world. Generally, Nature, Science, those journals are supposed to be the best in the world, but almost all theories are proven wrong, right? We can argue that stuff later, but I want you guys to start trying to question these things. And just be aware that chatbots are relatively new. People don't know of them. Traditionally, people think a robot talks like Star Wars, R2-D2, some very strange sounding machine, but there are robots that sound perfectly human. They sound better than me. They may communicate better than me, since I am sometimes gruff and too blunt. So research is showing that's happening really, really fast. And so when you find this, please comment about it. Don't just follow what other people are saying or what the research is saying. Maybe you can point out these details as they link to what you're trying to teach. So
yeah, I believe that those kind of high tech informations about high technologies, about especially on AI robots and chatbot will be very helpful for our topics. But also, I kind of realized that our surveys was very biased, because we conducted our surveys in Daegu, and Daegu is kind of in the environment, is a city which is kind of very countryside compared to the Seoul, which means not many people had opportunity to experience the AI chatbots and the AI robots in the hotel especially. And Daegu is known to be a very conservative district compared to other places in Korea. So,
hopefully you guys commented about those. Just do it in a way that doesn't make anybody look really bad, so that they charge you or send you to jail for defamation. But yes, that's a great finding. Thank you.
yeah. So I believe that it was a few factors which can bias our surveys and findings. Anyway, we will continue. our presentation.
So you just mentioned about bias in the survey. So I'm wondering how you design the questions. Did you get the questions? Did you adapt the questions from the previous studies?
Yeah. I fail to specifically comment about the articles, but we look for the many articles like adoptions.
I mean the questionnaire.
Yeah, questionnaires also was followed by the other articles. We try to follow those kind of ideas.
Yep.
Okay, we will continue.
So, yeah, so you can continue the presentation.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So conclusion, we believe that hotel industry needs to invest on AI technology R&D in order to provide satisfaction service close to human touching service, and hotel industry needs to advertise more on AI technology in the hotel management and service. So customer will more likely to accept and feel more comfortable with AI technology within hotel service, especially in South Korea, maybe especially in Daegu. And even though when it comes to AI, substituting a hotel service, hotels should seek to provide human touch to the customers. I believe that was the most important thing to the hotel services, keeping human touch in their services. We go to the next slide. Yeah, these are the references we have used, which are the Scopius articles. And if you have any further questions or comments, feedbacks, or evaluations, we can start from Jasur. Can you do that?
Much, guys. Who do we have here in the class to provide some comments?
Yeah, we have Jasur and Pia.
Great. I haven't heard from Yasser. Can you provide some comments?
Okay, so thank you for your presentation. It was good. I really like the design and then the way they use pictures and like graphics that catch attention. It was really clear and understandable. So I don't have any like negative comments, but yeah.
Can you try to show your specialization and offer some suggestions for thought? Rather than just say, good job, which is nice, but can you help them develop even more? What could...
Well, I guess in my opinion, if they surveyed like other, not only tourists of Marriott hotel, maybe if they surveyed other tourists like in Korea, maybe it would be like more productive and they would have more information about like tourists.
And we kind of have, maybe we're wrong, but we had one idea, we had one teaching to the world. Can anybody identify what we taught to the world?
Very good.
Maybe this answers means whether you completely could understand our presentation or not.
Well, I got that AI is getting more important in the industry and that South Korea has a lot of chances due to the fast internet to adapt it, but people are still worried about it. that's what I got it from it. But now that you said there's one specific teaching, I don't know if I caught it.
So maybe I can guess, like in the service industry, the customers still prefer the human touch, human interaction rather than technology. And it's kind of like the specialties in the service industry.
I think, yeah, that was exactly what we were trying to say. And also Pia comment was also implied.
But I think so for the applying the technology in the service industries at the moment, I mean, during the crisis like COVID-19 right now, so it's very necessary for the customers when they don't want to get virus, but they still want to spend their time and have fun. So
That's true.
yeah. And so AI has the potential to apply in the service technology, even such for the hotels and many the restaurants have been I mean many restaurants have been applying the robots into serving the customers.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that also make the customers feel safe while they enjoy the meal or the services.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think
Maybe so I have a comment like when you design the questionnaires, so because I know you adopt the questionnaires questions from the previous studies, but if you can find the question at the moment for this situation, so that makes the participants can have deeply understand the topic in the current situation,
mm,
like applying or like applying technology or robots into serving during the COVID-19,
thank you.
something like that. Yeah.
Good idea. Yeah.
That's it. So if you want to develop this paper, so yes, expanding the scope, the areas of the survey is so good.
I think also, well, I think our topic is pretty specific, but it could have been more specific because more specific is much better. I think our topic could have been using of AI technology in the hotel management in South Korea during the COVID-19. I think
Yes.
that could be also very interesting topic.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, the more specific you are, the better, especially with AI and the industry 4.0 revolution, how we're going to the gig economy and more companies are looking to hire people, not for a lifetime job, but only to do a specific temporary job. You will benefit, in my opinion, from showing, especially online, that you are a specialist in a very specific area. You can allow people to think you might be a generalist if they don't know those specifics, if they don't understand details, but in anything you're doing, try to be as specific as possible. And with this, even your last statement, I think the last sentence in your conclusion, could we take a look at that? So even when it comes to AI substituting hotel services, hotels should seek to provide human touch to the customers. This seems to be exactly what you have said in your abstract. Your abstract is more specific than this, but so this links. These, however, seem to be differing from this. This is showing you need to learn about the AI. It seems to be showing that AI is the way of the future. But how much have you identified about the best AI chatbots and the best benchmarking practices? Have you identified how certain hotel groups are more focused on it than others? maybe that type of identification showing a link to growth of the company that might help you be a specialist. And then especially with this last comment, it seems to be sort of the opposite of this, isn't it? Am I misunderstanding? I understand exactly what you're saying, and it makes sense. But a lot of people out there are generalists. They might confuse things. Do you see that this may confuse people reading this top two sentences?
Maybe the bottom is saying hotels should keep the human touch instead of using AI, and the top part says develop the AI technology. Maybe some people might think
Right.
that, yeah.
Okay. So this is talking about when it's talking about hotels are substituting AI, they should try to have the AI that will look like the human touch. That's one aspect. Another aspect is the whole idea of technology is able to scan the whole world, scan big data, remember names of people, preferences of people, what they might have used 5 years ago when they came to a hotel, whereas humans cannot, right? That's just reality. So I didn't hear you really talking about that. Maybe that's outside of the AI. It's just the general technology, but do you have any comments about that?
I didn't really understand what you said. Sorry.
So sorry, my conversation ability is not as good as AI. I heard some people may misunderstand and think a lot of people, especially in traditional areas, conservative areas, they want people to talk to. If you watch Homer Simpson, he says he doesn't want a robot, he wants a person to serve him. And so that could be true. And then you're focusing on AI. Well, AI is one of 1,000 different types of technology. And other types of technology is to simply record information and save it. And so anytime a whale goes into a hotel, which is usually the customer that spends a lot of money, customers will pay lots of money to try to remember as much as possible about that whale customer. Versus humans usually can't remember that. If they're serving thousands or hundreds of thousands of customers, it's very hard to remember one specific person, especially when they just walk into a hotel and go directly to the room because they're so rich and they don't usually talk too much to the front desk. So remembering a whale is very hard. Do you understand what I'm talking about with a whale, first of all? Hotels are focused on trying to find the best of the best customers. And those best customers are the customers that get usually the most rooms all the time, or the most expensive rooms, or spend the most. Sometimes those people that spend the most are so rich, they walk past the front desk and have everything arranged in advance. So the hotel it's harder to remember them, harder to have a face on that person's file versus a computer will remember that. So not just AI needs to be adopted, but technology overall needs to be adopted, because remembering customer preferences and customer histories by computers is better than trying to rely on any front office staff, sales staff. But we didn't hear about it too much here. Sorry, getting me too deep.
Yeah.
Maybe summarize or comment on what I just said before I go on?
Yeah. So I believe that we also looked for articles how to how to what kind of changes or what kind of development should hotel industries should do for the futures. I believe that they are also in our Scopia's list, but we have not mentioned about it. So I think it could have been better if we mentioned about like new technologies which can be adopted to the hotel services, not only with the AI technology.
Okay, great. The idea of promoting this stuff is good. Since you are obviously becoming specialists in this, I'd also encourage you to try to further your specialization skills, not just in research, because most people don't get famous because of research. Research is just a tool to help you develop doing something else most of the time. So find a hotel that is doing this, that's investing in this, like the Ritz-Carlton many years ago was famous for investing more in this than anybody else. They started the trend to invest in chatbots, for example. And so you could identify the Ritz-Carlton hotel and how they may benefit in this type of market. That would help you with more practicality. Usually academic researchers don't, they just focus on research and here's the research, whether it's practical or not. I suggest you kind of do both. So try to link it to a user that would benefit from it. That hopefully would help. Do you understand what I mean with the Ritz-Carlton hotel?
Exactly, like a Marriott hotel, which is they're investing a lot of monies for developing AI technology for the customer services. Those
Great.
kind
So
of examples will help us to understand.
exactly. If you bring them into the study and try to show things that will promote them or benchmarks that they can use to further grow, that obviously is going to help your career a lot more, especially in East Asia, where China, Japan, Vietnam, and Korea, they want relationships. And maybe Ulukbek, you're not traditionally Korean. It might be harder for you to get the relationships than other Koreans might be able to get with family connections, unless you show that you have this specialization. So if you publish this, if this is on the internet, that would help you. And then show how you are helping the Marriott or Ritz-Carlton to expand with specifics. That would be very, very good. The other thing is, I haven't seen too much talking about how things to avoid or problems in the area. Usually crazy academics, they want to see that you've attacked yourself. If you're not attacking yourself, if you're just saying this is the best research there is, then it's going to attract attack. So what would you say is a limitation to your study?
Limitations to study. Are you talking about like?
What's a problem with what you've just presented?
Well, first, problems was about the surveys. We have identified that
Yes.
the biased. The second one, so we have not provided examples of using AI in the hotel in the reality that could show more realistic answers from the customers, and also from the perspective of managers. And also we need to talk about more technologies in the hotels, like, because AI is not the only it's not only technology which will be applied in the futures.
Great. And benchmarking, the relationships, try to
Yeah.
relationships with others. Somebody else was going to add something. Did I hear Pia trying to make a comment?
No. I mean, maybe I can. My thought was maybe it would be interesting to survey people who really actively travel a lot and who are maybe specialists in booking, but not used to AI yet, to maybe get their thoughts on it. That's just what came to my mind.
That sounds very good, especially if you're going to target the Marriott Hotel. Before you walk up to talk to them, have something that is going to help the Marriott. For example, have a case study that might be famous, maybe a Harvard business case study. Walk up to a manager, say, here is a very valuable lesson that you probably already know. Here's a copy of it. And we are going to further develop this. It would help you more if you, as a high level executive, made your low level customer service or sales staff answer questions for us. That means, all he needs to do or she needs to do is say, yes, talk to Sally. And then you would have people that would complete your surveys that could help, and you can go into a case study in depth. That's a good point, but again, do that through developing relationships, especially in East Asia, China, Japan, Korea, Russia, Vietnam. The relationships, without the relationships, it's super hard to get in. And if you are trying to get in, whether with relationships or without, have this type of studies supporting you. And again, you are speaking languages in your literature review that the world doesn't understand. You introduced Scopus and you said Scopus was highly reliable and respected, which was great, but I don't think I noticed the writing, the words of that. So if you gave this paper to somebody that was a director in the Marriott, would that director know what Scopus meant? Would the director understand what is the benchmarking practice that he should learn from?
Maybe it'll be better if we give good explanations in the PowerPoint. That might help.
Yes, good, thanks. Any other questions or comments? Sorry, we are in the last class. Did Pia in your group, did you guys want to say anything again?
No, we were finished. Thank you.
You guys are good.
I have one thing, questions. So you said, if I understand right, did you say it is better to talk about our limitations on our research, or is it better to just talk about good things?
Both. Do you have to decide? You should be focusing on the good things. You should be promoting good things to help a key customer develop further. Like, what could Marriott do to become even better? So that's number one. Be very specific. Don't generalize very much. Both groups, Pia's group, Jungho, your group, your work is at a very high level. And so this next comment is not what I give to most students, just for you guys. If you're going to strive for absolute excellence, which you guys, I expect from you, be aware that some people are going to be jealous of you. Some people are going to some people are going to try to attack you just because you're the best. And so plan in advance to manage those attacks by saying what is a problem with you technically. Not perhaps with all of your studies, you can show that this is just an initial research. There's probably a lot more that needs to be researched to get better findings, something like that. Basically saying you could be wrong. The sample size was limited, or again, that would make you look actually bad technically. It's better to say that you are focused just on the case study, just on that one organization, and then you only need one or two people to talk to.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Going once, twice. So UNO's not here. Yasser, I think I heard that you were here. Thomas, are you also here? Can you guys also provide some feedback?
Uh,
Thomas is
Thomas was here for a moment.
and then left. Yasser, can you provide a couple more words related to what you think might help Ulugh and Jongmun?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, they could get more people involved in this survey. But other than that, I don't have any comments to improve.
Okay, thanks. Let's take unless there's other comments, I'd like to go through and use a few of the final minutes to hear from each of you about what you have learned. Schools are rapidly changing. The idea of one person standing at the front and just giving information, that is being quickly replaced since so many people can get information online. You guys should not be focused on just one textbook in a classroom, because you can learn anything with Google, for example. So let's share, what did you find in your research that you think other people should know, especially focused on East Asia management? So Ulugh, what about you? Would you like to comment? What did you find that, not just your presentation, but in any of your studies in the last several months, what was something that you can teach the world, somebody following, interested in East Asian management?
As like others, I don't have any chance to know about chatbots. During these studies, the artificial intelligence in hotel management, I learned that this is a future of hotel management. I didn't know about it.
Great. You guys know that almost all of you, when you call for information with a hotel, when you go to a website, a lot of the best organizations, even websites, a small little box will pop up saying, "Hi, this is Emily. Do you have any questions today?" That is the AI robot, and that you're interacting with them. It looks like you're talking to somebody in San Francisco or LA or India, but it is increasingly that AI robots. Yes, learn about that. Great. Anything else? Yeah, do you want to share a couple of thoughts?
Yeah, well, I learned not only during this our research, but also the class, a lot more about cultural differences that I wasn't aware of. Be it, first of all, I thought it was interesting that we learned about different perspectives, like Korea, China, Japan, but also Vietnam, which was really new to me. And connected to the research, I learned that people often don't really realize that they have to prepare, or how to prepare for business deals across borders. So I think this was very interesting, and something that we can teach the world to pay more attention to not get into cultural traps.
Okay, could you, I think that's a very good point. Would anybody like to come back to that after we hear from Yasser, after we hear from Jongho-moon? I'd like to come back and try to find out, if, for example, somebody's in Germany and a Korean company wants to do some sort of business in Germany, what are some things you might have to consider? We'll talk about that later. But Jung-Moon or Yasser, what would you say you have learned related to East Asian management in the class or in your research?
Well, to be honest, I've learned a lot of things about the East Asian culture. For example, how to find out about other cultures and try to be respectful. And I learned about how negotiations, like how to you act and how to prepare for the negotiations, as well as the cultural differences.
Okay. So are you saying that your research related to the negotiations is what you're talking about?
I'm not saying our research was linked to the negotiation. I was just giving my general idea about this class.
Okay. What's some of the things that you've learned from your research?
Our research, what I learned, it was the connection and the importance of connections, like ganji.
Good. How should any student conduct themselves knowing now what you know?
Well, they must have, they try to have more connections with other people and, establish more connections.
Okay, great. So I have a kind of a famous book here in front of me. It's for students how to go from college to a career. But this book, it doesn't talk as much about the need to network as much as reality. You definitely need to do that. And at the beginning of the semester, I think many students were saying that they don't really know about LinkedIn. They weren't really using LinkedIn. They haven't really connected. And although I love all of the presentations today, Jung-Ho and Ulukbek, you were promoting just your email, not your LinkedIn.
We also put it our LinkedIn information as well.
Did you?
Yes, in
We did.
first page.
Maybe at the bottom. I didn't notice that. I thought that was just oh yes, good, great. So yes, what my point is, make sure before the semester is finished, network with everybody. Get everybody's LinkedIn that you're studying with, all the students that are around you, even the students you don't like now. Try to stay in touch with people as much as possible, because I guarantee you some of the connections that you have here, maybe 5, 10 years later, 20 years later, will shock you how much they can help you. I have seen incredible, like I saw, when I went through my MBA, one of the worst students in my group, and he promised that he would not do any work on our research project, but he would buy beer when we researched. That guy became super successful. And he became successful because he mastered the idea of making reports, like publishing stories about how his company was the best. Basically, he made the story, he made the report. It looked like it was from a different research group. He published that in newspapers under an advertisement that almost everybody thought was not an advertisement. They thought it was a journalistic story just promoting him. And because of that, his companies became super successful and he became very wealthy. So be aware of that. Network with other people, even people that you think aren't working well in your groups. Jung-Ho, I haven't heard from you. What were the main things that you've learned in the course and in your research?
So first of all, also I learned that Guangxi is very important for my futures, my career plans. But the learning like throughout this semester, this class felt like a MBTI, doing the MBTI for myself, because I am Koreans living in East Asia cultures, but I know what they think. I can expect what kind of culture they have, but I couldn't really identify the characteristics. So after like taking these classes, I kind of identify what kind of characteristics this Korean and Japanese, Chinese have. And I think that's those kind of findings will help me to work in the futures in the companies, because I know what kind of characteristics they have instead of just kind of have a feeling about them. So I think that was most useful for
Good.
this.
The more you know about yourself, the more, the better you can do. Thanks.
Excuse me. So I think could I have a couple minutes?
Thank you.
Yes. So I would like to share the awards to our students' contribution to the class for the whole course. And also, I would like to take maybe a picture of all of us.
Class is finished. Students are going to have to leave. So we want to give
Yes.
you guys some awards.
Yes. So we have the awards here. So first of all, congratulations to the outstanding research paper named Use of AI in Hotel Management in South Korea. So yes. So based on the results of the posting from all the classmates. And next, I would like to show the awards to a group of Pia, Thomas, Uno, and Joshua with the paper Managing Cultural Diversity at Samsung Korea as outstanding research presentation.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
And to the individual contributors, so congratulations on Pia for the highest academic achievement in the course. And you also the most proactive students in the course voted by other classmates.
Thank you very much, all of you. Pia was.
Thank you guys so much for contributing in our course, and I can't believe that time flies so fast. So today is the last day of the course. So
Congratulations. Thank you very much for your participation in the course. Please stay in touch. Please make sure you email your files. I need to save your files for the university records. I'm going to be giving probably a very good chance that, anyway, very good marks. I'm very happy with you guys. Check if you are interested in contacting companies. I might be able to help you with that. If you're interested in publishing, I've helped several people publishing in the past. If you're interested in applying for a grant, please also talk to me about that now or at any time going forward in the future. Thank you very much.
Professor, can I take one picture, please?
Thank you, Professor.
Professor, can I take one picture for quick? So everyone, are you ready? So kimchi.
I guess that means it's finished.
I'm not sure. I think maybe it's
Got a screenshot, so I have saved your information. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
Professor.
Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, you too. Yes, so we can finish this and go back to the CCC class.
Yes. Any chats that you need to save before I close?
Yes, I got them already.